right, hello everybody. Obviously we're coming to you from a remote location, so I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get on. We're just a little bit early, and we've got a great show for you today, talking about all kinds of fun stuff related to Jeeps that everybody likes. Hemis are always popular, and we're out here at Dakota Customs, but I want to tell everybody, you know, a week or so ago I took off and rode my Harley out to Sturgis for the annual bike rally, and they're in very close proximity, the towns, to where Dakota Customs is. So it makes it great for me to be able to come over here and talk to Dan and his son and catch up on everything that they're doing. They've got some really cool stuff that we're going to show you here today. So I also am here with a buddy of mine, Kevin Silk from Trail Toys up in Alaska. Yeah, and it's always good. I haven't hung out with him for a couple of years, but it's great. Oh, is it wanting you to flip?
It's doing
Oh, is it better?
a rotate thing.
Alaska threw it off.
Uh-oh. Seems like it's working.
I'm not really sure what it's. You're upside down right now.
Oh, and if we flip it again, does it go back?
It just tells me to keep rotating.
Keep rotating.
I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully, we're not making everybody dizzy. Is that better?
Oh, you're sideways now.
And if you tip it back up, then it's
It just says you can't rotate.
while we're going.
Yeah. Might have to restart.
Maybe. Okay, well, we started early, so we can just stop. And...
Just restart it.
Yeah. What is? Does it have the title
mean-
and everything still? Oh, people
No,
are still going?
They're saying it's good.
Oh, it is?
I-
But we stopped.
I guess it just looks weird for me.
Well, that's weird. Yeah, why would that be the case? Can you restart or no?
Well, they're all saying it looks good, so I'll just.
Do you think we're still?
Yeah, we're good.
We're still going? Okay. The only way we could do it is verify it on somebody else's phone to make sure it's still going. Yeah, maybe check it on yours and just see what we got. We'll pause for a minute and let everybody continue to get on. Meantime, we'll assume that it's still going, and Kevin is our largest dealer up there in Alaska. Right?
I'm the only one.
Yeah.
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 We're the largest off-road shop. in
Off-road
Alaska.
shop, that's right. So, yep, looking good?
Yep.
Okay.
Huh.
All right, so anyways, Kevin and I met up here to ride for the week, and we just jammed back today from Hewlett, Wyoming. We took a ride over there and got here in time to.
Double shower was awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So that was good.
About 102 when we left there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice and hot. It's still hot.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's get right to talking to Dan and talking about Hemi conversions and all kinds of upgrades people can do on their Jeeps. So let's swing around, and Dan, wait, first say hi.
What is this, third year now?
Third year.
Down here?
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
again.
it's great to see you too.
Yeah.
Great to see you too.
Yeah, good.
Got a great shop,
Yeah.
and we're gonna walk around, and you're gonna follow us as we go, so we don't disappear into the tiny.
So of course, what we love to talk about here are Hemi conversions, mainly into Jeep Wranglers, but we've expanded the offerings a little bit. So we have a few vehicles to show you that
Cool.
we're making all this new stuff work and all the old stuff as well.
Cool. So let's get their appetite wet with what you got
Yeah.
laid
So-
out for us today.
So, I mean, here's what we do. We usually have a whole lineup of motors, transmissions, pallets, and if you looked inside this crate here, this is
This is
a
cool.
Hellcat conversion.
This is cool.
mated to a built 8-speed transmission going into a JK that's shipping out to a shop tomorrow.
So it's a complete kit.
Everything. The only thing they need to add to this is fluids.
So this has, I see intercooler, radiator, right? Like there's everything in here.
Yep, there's a new fuel system, a full exhaust system,
Wire harness.
everything they need to make it work. A new PCM,
That's cool.
and it's got an 8-speed transmission, which makes this motor feel like it's got another 100 horse because of the 8 speeds versus the WA 580 transmission, which they say is a 5-speed, but really it's a 4-speed. So you've got all those gaps filled in with the gear ratios. So
In a lower first gear, right?
the tack just never drops. I mean, it just boom, boom, boom. And I was doing 110 in a TJ that we built with a 448 a couple weeks ago on the entrance ramp. Just doing wideband testing to make sure it was good. And didn't notice the state patrol sitting in between the lanes.
No.
So I went by him at about 110 mile an hour. And it was still pulling.
That's awesome.
After I go by, he didn't even move.
We should mention the speed limit here is 80, so
Yeah.
you weren't too far over.
Yeah. So it'd be a little bit.
Everybody
of a
goes
ticket,
90, so it's not too bad. But this is awesome. So what's the, like this package horsepower?
This is about 750 horse. I mean, with our air intake, exhaust, and the engine tuning that we do. It's $50,000 worth of stuff, but it's all brand new crate motor from Chrysler. All of the engine components are brand new. The transmission I sent to Southern Hot Rod to have all of their magic done to it with whatever Kevlar and titanium pieces they want to put in. So
And the proper torque converter, and it's all bolted together
all,
and good to go.
It's all set to go. If you buy the motor, tranny, and all that from us, we will assemble the motor with everything that it needs, so you can literally pick it up and set it in your frame, and then just start plugging stuff together.
That's cool. You've gotten this down pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's really about all we do here.
And then what do we got next to this?
Well, this is another motor that we're getting ready, which is a 5.7. That's going into an 07 Jeep for another dealer down in Texas. Also getting an 8-speed transmission.
So it sounds like the 8-speed is pretty much what everybody's doing now.
9 times out of 10 for the past year now, I've sold 8 speeds with all the JK kits versus anything else.
That's good. That's good.
It really makes that big of a difference. Not only in horsepower, but even fuel mileage, if that's a concern of yours.
Yeah, depending on how much you're driving on the road, right?
Most of them, since it's got even more of an overdrive, I'd say it's got 2 overdrives.
Right.
And engine RPM is always the deciding factor on a Hemi and fuel mileage. Most of the Jeeps will gain 3 miles per gallon.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
And it's a lot more fun getting up to speed.
Yeah. And then over here,
New 6.4 392 crate motor.
so more performance.
So 500 horse versus 400 horse that the 5.7's got. So this one is going into a new JL that's on its way here right now that we'll have here in about 2 weeks. So, and it'll get the heavy duty 8-speed transmission from the Ram pickup put in along with it.
And then how does this compare to like what's coming in the 392 JL?
It's really the same motor.
It is.
What they've done different in that 392 JL is they made those all-wheel drive. And usually they do that just to stop people from being able to spin the rear tires
And get out of control.
Get out of control.
Yeah.
But this setup for sure has more horsepower than a GL 392. That's guaranteed. We've tested that theory.
And if you have a JT, this is the only way you're getting a V8.
Right.
Right. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Okay, so now let's talk about what a lot of people have been calling him, which is that conversion from their 6-speed to an 8-speed with their 3.6. Right?
yeah,
That's
that's a big deal now. I got something set up over here to show you. There's two ways we've done that now. So this transmission on the floor is an 850 RE from a JL. And we've successfully put that into JK. The difference there is if you're going to use the JL 8-speed, you also will have to use the JL transfer case.
Oh.
You can't get around it because the way they've designed the output shaft and how the output housing fits on.
Yeah.
This part is actually built into a JL transfer case. It's not separate.
Oh.
Like what I'll show you this transmission that's here. So this is a 7 to 11 JK transfer case or a manual trans 12 to 18 JK, because you can see it's got the regular 23 spline input, doesn't have the big WA580 coarse spline adapter setup, and that's a necessity if you're doing an 8-speed into a 12 and up JK and it's already an automatic. You will need to get a different transfer case, and it'll be that configuration right there.
And that's not a big deal. Those are readily available.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I usually buy pallets of them and get them from anywhere from $600 to $1,100 a piece, depending on what they are. But just to show you here, this is what I've been recommending for people that are keeping their 3.6 in their Jeep but want an 8-speed. This is an 845 RE transmission from a Ram pickup that has a 3.6. I've never seen one. Have you?
No.
No, I didn't know that was
even
really
existed.
a thing, but I
No.
guess it is. You can get a full-size Ram pickup with a 3.6.
Wow.
I'm thinking most people don't do that, but that's what this transmission is. Of course, this is a used one.
Sure. And also readily available.
They're readily available, and they're cheap. So if somebody wants to do that, what's nice about it is you can do this.
Oh, it literally just bolts right up. Oh, wow.
So that'll go right in,
That's right there.
and you're done.
There you go. It comes with the right adapter and everything on there. That's great.
Yep. So, and then the kits that we sell to do this are, by far the least expensive option to go for an 8-speed. It'll have all of the trans controller, the wiring, depending on what JK you have. I have a shifter mount and a shifter bezel, and then the Dodge Challenger shifter that goes along with that.
Yeah, I saw you holding one a minute ago,
Yeah.
right?
And then you'll use the truck tranny mount, because we have a steel plate made that will attach to the JK cross member and then bolt up to that truck
Cool.
tranny mount.
That's a great solution. Have we got a lot of questions coming in?
Just a couple
Okay.
to go over. Question a lot of people have liked, is there a manual valve body option for a transmission with the Hemi conversion?
That's interesting.
Manual valve body 8-speed. I've never heard of it. That doesn't mean it
Is it possible?
doesn't exist, but I don't know why you would want that, because the shifter has a manual mode.
Right.
Full manual, where it will not shift unless you run it to redline.
So
That
works pretty good.
so that I don't know why you.
I mean, that's what I use in my jail when I'm driving it. I go to manual mode and it works
Right.
pretty good.
And the Dodge Challenger shifter has that same. It's the same deal. You bump it over to the left, and then you can manually go
back.
up and down
Yeah.
with it.
Okay. So hopefully that's an acceptable answer for people.
That would be part of our 8-speed kit.
Yeah.
Is that Challenger shifter setup that
I mean, I like it because then when you want to decelerate, where the automatic would normally just freewheel,
Right.
you know, this would give you the ability to decelerate, which I think is what people are looking for.
sure.
So, okay, good question. What else we got?
Then on newer conversions like JLJT, one question was what transmission we're using for those.
That's an 8 HP 75 from a new Ram pickup,
Which is that one?
which is the one that was on the floor over there next to
Walk
the
back over and show that one.
next to the 6.4.
And they're not all the same, right? You've got like a certain one figured out. Yeah. So
We'll use an 8 HP 75 on JLs and JTs, but if we're doing a Hemi and a JK, we use an 8 HP 70. And reason for that is being able to do the proper engine tune with the correct torque management for that transmission. Because we can't do the correct torque management for a 75 in a JK. You can definitely make it work and it'll function,
but it
to
won't perform as well.
It just doesn't really perform the way it should.
Interesting. And what is it about it being in a JL or a JT that makes it that much better than, or possible?
Basically, it's the difference between the engine management systems.
It is.
Because you start off with a 12 up JK, you're using what they call GPEC, and then the later vehicles, JL, JT, when those came out in 19, it's GPEC 2A, so it's different. They don't work together. So and the 8 HP 70 is compatible with the GPEC, where the 8 HP 75 is compatible with the GPEC 2A.
Gotcha.
And it's all a matter of being able to tune everything the way you're supposed to tune it, because you figure, Chrysler has a room full of
Engineers.
technicians coming up with the tunes for all that they do, and then we completely replace the driveline and something like that. It takes enough time as it is to make that tune right when it's just one or two of you working on it.
Right.
And and it's important to make it work right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how much stuff you're changing. If Chrysler, how long did Chrysler work before they put out the JL 392? Just all of the testing and whatever.
Years.
You want to be safe.
Yeah. And when you look in this box at everything that comes to convert this thing, it's a lot of stuff. You're changing a lot of things in your vehicle.
It is, and that's the reason why everybody gets my shop phone number, which is a cell phone, so they can text it. And I'm usually answering questions 14, 15 hours a day. I get lots of phone calls.
From people in all kinds of time zones. Huh?
Right. Even China.
Jeez. Do we have more questions?
Got a question for you.
Okay.
While we're out here, we're gonna do a Hemi swap in your Harley.
I have seen some V8 Harleys, but I don't know if there was a Hemi in there, but they sounded really good. They did sound good.
I saw one with a Viper motor.
Did you? People do all kinds of stuff. I can tell you that miraculously, I've seen 3 different GenRight customers out here, just by chance, that also happen to ride Harleys. So that was kind of fun. They had their GenRight shirts on, and that was pretty cool. And one of them was Clint and Wendy Goss out of Las Vegas. I just happened to run into them. When you think about the 500,000 or whatever people are here, and then to run into these people by chance out here is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's bop around the shop and show them some of the things you have going.
Something else that's fairly new here that has been here we got a 2004 TJ. And this is a brand new 5.7 Hemi from a Dodge Charger. It's a brand new crate motor. Also made it up to an 8-speed transmission. Runs perfect. And that's fairly new because you haven't always been able to put the brand new Hemi in. Usually in the TJs we're using an 08 and older setup, either a 5.7 or 6.1, because the engine management setups just wouldn't talk. So, but now, you know, we've got PCMs to run the motor standalone, and we've got the 8-speed standalone, and the two talk to each other. It's got the Challenger shifter in it. It's
Are you able to make the stuff on the dash still work? The factory dash?
no, we completely take that out. We have a full auto meter setup in there.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, the problem with the dash, and that was even a problem with putting the old style Hemi in. You had to put like an 05 and newer setup in because they had PCI bus systems, which I mean that's 30-year-old stuff. So
Yeah, and if you got to change it, you might as well get like.
this
New
is
cool
all
stuff.
using new CAN bus because that's a GPEC 2A controller.
Right here, yeah. Okay, so you know, you can pick up these old TJs for pretty cheap, right? High miles, cheap.
Right.
What are you looking at to do a conversion like this?
Yeah, it's about 35.
It is for the engine and training.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I mean, that's everything. In order to put this setup into a TJ, it's got to have a 1-inch body lift. You have to have about 2.5 inches of lift because TJ just sat so low to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Well, I would imagine most people doing something like this would have a pretty
Yeah.
built Jeep.
You know, and this one's pretty, you know,
Yeah, it's a Rubicon, right? So it's got
normal.
44s.
It's a Rubicon,
Yeah.
and it's not crazy overdone. The one that I was doing 110 in was also an 04 TJ that had 40-inch Toyos and curvy 70s and yeah, completely different, but the install, you know, is pretty much the same.
And the transfer case in this one is what?
It's the Rubicon case that
It
it
is.
came with,
Oh, it is.
which slides right up onto a 8HP 70 just like that did.
Okay.
it's
So that's good. And then what about if the guy wanted to do an Atlas at that time? Is that possible, or is
That'll
that
fit.
it does?
Atlas will fit up to an 8HP 70.
no problem. Okay.
Just-
Cool.
I've done that several times.
Okay. Because I would
You
imagine
could
if
put- you could
somebody's
put an Atlas in this one too without any issue.
they're spending all that money, it might be the time to do it. You know. Okay.
Blue out there, I showed you to be a perfect candidate.
Yes, it would. It looks exactly like this, but a little longer. Okay, so more questions on this?
One on this and a couple other ones too.
Okay.
Well, we have a TJ here, but we're also wondering, one guy has a 2008 JK with a 6.4 and a 545. Can he upgrade to the 8-speed?
Most definitely. Send me an email. I will send you back all the information showing you what you need just to put an 8-speed into an existing JK Hemi, which we've done more times than I can remember now in the past year.
And rough cost on that is
If you do all new parts, you probably have 12, 13 grand for everything. Keeping in mind that that's about a $7,000 transmission for being brand new.
yeah.
But
So
like I
that's
said,
not too bad.
You could always substitute a used transmission if you wanted to go that route.
And that would bring that thing back to life, having the lower gears and
Yeah,
everything.
the 545 transmission was never meant really to be behind anything but a 5.7.
Oh, Interesting.
And you can't beef one up
no.
any stronger. I don't care what anybody says or what any place claims. They will all burn up if given too much horsepower.
Interesting. Okay. And you were saying, although that's a 5-speed, it was really a 4-speed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they get their other gear from having 2 second gears.
Oh, they're splitting.
So, and that lower gear would kick in, like if you're passing gear, full throttle situations, to where the PCM will decide which second gear to use depending on what engine load or
That's interesting.
what the throttle position is.
Okay. All right. What was the other question?
People just wanted to look at the inside of the TJ really quick.
Right ahead, you can see the
shifter.
it's got the Challenger shifter.
Where's that little light you had? We'll get some light on that because it's really cool. Here comes the light.
So there's the Dodge Challenger shifter along with the bezel and mount that we made to mount that to the floor. And you can also see the other
Oh yeah,
the different gauge setup. So that's a pretty
it's a whole new
neat
bezel
thing to do. Autometer makes that bezel,
Huh.
and then you can just put your choice of gauges that you want.
And does all this stuff on the wheel still work?
Yes.
Wow.
The only thing that you can't make work on this setup is cruise control. Which I imagine if a guy spent a little more time using a more modern aftermarket cruise meant for something that's electronic throttle, you could probably make that work too.
Cool.
But it's got, all the turn signal indicators and the high beam indicator.
Yeah, it's all in here, yeah.
That's all in there
That's
and
cool.
working.
All right. What other question do we have?
Well, Tony, Kelly Sims joined the talk.
Yeah,
and
is he on
now would be a good time to make fun of him for not being here.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, he's showing underneath? Nice.
Need more light down there, Kyle?
Maybe, probably. You want more light down there?
I just wanted to see the drive shaft.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
you
how
can
short
tell them
it
the
is?
drive shaft is 16 inches long.
16, okay.
And there's no vibration. You do have to at least put adjustable rear upper arms to turn it up
the
to be
pinion
correct
right.
for
Yeah.
the CD style drive shaft.
And for those of you that don't know this, we make a really nice kit for these to turn them into an LJ. So if you go pick up yourself a cheap TJ, you turn it into an LJ, and then you can have a 115-inch wheelbase and put all this power to real use. So that would be the cool way to do it. And I think that kit's like $5 or $6 grand. It's not that much. So
And it won't feel near as squirrely at 110 miles an hour.
yeah, compared to this little wheelbase. So
Then another question, how's the cooling done for a TJ or LJ conversion?
So what I like to do, you can see this radiator is huge, made by Griffin. We added our own side mounts to it, but the really nice thing is a Spall pulse width modulated cooling fans.
oh, that is nice.
So
I haven't even seen that before.
that cooling fan runs on its own switch, and it's infinitely variable. And most of the time when it's running, you don't know because it's so quiet.
And it's totally flat.
It works.
That's nice.
It works beautiful. I put this in my red two-door JK, which was one of the first 8-speed setups that we did.
And it looks like this still has air conditioning.
Yes, definitely. Air conditioning works great.
Nice.
So there's a massive amount of cooling potential here.
Which you want.
And to make that work even better yet, vent the hood.
Yeah. Get that heat out.
That makes a 20-some degree difference right away.
Yeah. What else you got?
We got people wondering if this one's ready to fire up.
No?
Sure.
Hear what it sounds like?
Hey, nice. see that torque. That was nice. Yeah, looks good. Sounds good. What have you got for?
This one we built fairly quiet. The guy that owns it's 74 years old, so
Didn't want anything loud.
yeah.
And what have you got for a muffler under there?
This one has a Flowmaster.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's you know you have a Hemi, but it definitely if you're cruising,
Yeah, it's not.
annoying at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. Certainly from the outside, you know that's not a straight six.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What else we got?
A couple of questions about California carb. Any updates on that?
Well, definitely not. And as many times as I've tried, things change so quickly. I just don't ever see it happening.
I think that's their plan, right? Is to make it so that you can't keep up with all the changes they're making.
Right. And there's even some states that have been adopting the same statutes in their metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
And so far, I haven't seen much of any issues with that, but it's coming
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, and it's why the auto manufacturers are just making 50 state legal, cars, right? Because it's such a hassle.
Because even though everything done on the Hemi conversions is federally legal per federal law, trying to keep up with what the states themselves decide to mandate individually can sometimes be impossible.
Yeah.
Even though you could hook up a 4-gas analyzer to this, it's got catalytic converters, it's got every bit of emissions equipment that it's supposed to have,
Yep.
but they'll just flat say no.
Yeah, and for those of you that aren't familiar with that, they specify like where they want the cats. Well, sometimes in a narrow frame Jeep like this, you just can't put them there.
Right.
It's just not possible. Even like on the 360, the cats are right off the manifold, because they want them as close to that as they can get them. And where the old day was, you had a cat like way down somewhere in the system.
I've got a 2013 JK over here that's got a 6.4 conversion, and the guy lives in the Denver area. And everything emissions wise was fine. OBD monitors online, but they said, no, you fail because you don't have Chrysler factory catalytic converters. It had MagnaFlow aftermarket, which would be 49 state cats.
Right.
So I brought it back and I put actual 6.4 converters from a Challenger in it, got them in the factory location, have the O2 sensors are in the cast iron manifold where they're supposed to be at, and then they wanted the O2 sensor in the middle of the cat, which is where the factory puts them now. Done. Passed. But I guarantee in 6 months they're going to come up with something else. That's because now they're actually plugging into the PCMs themselves, and they can tell if it's got an aftermarket tune in it. You're done if it's got an aftermarket tune. So that's what some states are doing as well.
Yeah. I know they're really getting strict on this stuff. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So
that may be more than you wanted to know about emissions, but
yeah, and as car guys, motorheads, right? You just figure out how to deal with it, and so, a lot of people also, this is their toy. So some of them are trailing around, and you're not as worried about it. So yeah, and that's where like this is a better option for some people,
right?
Because everything else stays the same.
Yeah.
They don't have to deal with it.
They can
But
plug into that.
this will bring your 3.6 JK to life. So that's a good way to go. Yeah. So let's show
or
what
you
we
could
got.
buy one of these.
Yeah, like go this route.
So
Let's show what we got over here.
66 Dodge Power Wagon, which the only thing really left in the Power Wagon is the rusty body, which is staying that way.
Nice.
Put it on a Gladiator frame with different suspension and UD60 axles. the fun part is it's got a genuine elephant motor in it. 1,000 horsepower.
And the reason you don't have to worry about smog is because it's so old,
Right.
right?
Never have to worry about it.
Never.
Yeah, and this one also has a TRX 8HP 95 transmission in it,
Nice.
which will handle 1,000 horsepower all day long without any trouble.
And it fits in here pretty good, huh?
There's lots of room.
Tons of room.
We've had all the rest of the sheet metal on it too. It's just a lot easier to finish the remaining stuff we got to do without the hood fenders and running boards in the way. So it's going to look old, rusty, just like that, but you open up the hood, it'll be
That's cool. Very
beautiful.
cool. Is this a customer?
Customer in Florida.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure that they're planning on having this one at SEMA this year, so I have to finish it up, which I will about
Nice.
in the next 2-3 weeks.
Cool. And then did we want to look at that over there? The JL?
Yeah. JLs are boring, but
We do have a few questions coming in too.
Oh, related to any of this? Or-
All over the place.
oh, okay. So what do we got?
Really quick, as far as JK 8-speed conversion kits availability, like where do people?
you really should email me or call me. Probably email's best, and I can get you in line. I've been selling so many of them, it's been really hard to keep them in stock.
And what's your email? Just to say it.
Dan at Dakota-Customs.com.
Okay.
And then if you have any specific questions about pricing on your application,
Yeah, because it's all different.
I usually need to ask to see what you have, because there's so many different options. I should know as much as I can about your Jeep. And
Yeah,
what you
because
wanna do.
some of them, you were telling me earlier that you can convert from a manual to the 8-speed automatic, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
And-
that's a cool option
and
too.
It's almost easier to use a manual trans JK than,
Yeah,
because then you have the transfer case you need.
There you
have
go.
to get a different transfer case if you got the manual
so
transfer.
some pretty cool stuff that until he knows what your setup is, he can't really advise. So, what else we got?
Looks like this guy has. Well, his question is Hellcat swap. Provided you have the ECM and wiring from the Hellcat, what would you need to make the key fob work?
Well, you got to keep in mind that our kits come with a PCM, come with a wiring harness. You're not going to be able to make a factory install with what you have, because the car stuff isn't directly compatible with anything in a Wrangler, not at all. So if you're going to try to use a setup you bought out, because a lot of people buy a complete wreck car,
Right.
which the only way you're going to make that work in your Jeep is if you take everything out of that car and
Which includes all the little antennas and stuff, everything, right? That's in the whole wire harness.
that's the only way you can make that work. So
Yeah.
that's why our kits, they have a special PCM and a special wiring harness
Gotcha.
that will use the existing key that the Jeep already has.
Okay. So, and if you have a JL that has a fob, that will still work to unlock the doors and that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So it would just be in that case that fob was for the
because I'm
car.
assuming this question was a guy probably bought a setup from a car,
That's what it sounds like.
and
Yeah.
that you're not going to make work
Gotcha.
without using the rest of the equipment from the car that key fob can talk
Okay.
to.
So if he's ready to ditch that, he could still get a hold of you and buy the right stuff that he needs to make that work in his Jeep.
Right.
Okay. Good.
And then 3.8 JKs. Are there any transmission upgrade options for those?
There isn't an 8-speed that'll bolt up to a 3.8.
So the answer is the whole Hemi conversion.
Put a Hemi in it.
It's got a lot of miles on it anyways. Time to freshen it up.
We've done a lot of 7 to 11 8 speeds, but they all have to have a Hemi.
Yeah. So that's the straight answer.
And then as far as 8-speed JK kits, like what's the wait time if someone were to get in contact?
My next shipment of parts I'm waiting for, which is specifically 8-speed stuff, it's about 3 weeks out. So really should send me an email so I can put you in the file and in line.
And obviously, you're probably selling them as fast as you get them. So
Right.
unless they get in line, right? So you got to get an order in. Don't call in 3 weeks because everything might be gone.
Right.
Right. So I know I have that same kind of issue.
I'm doing installs here. I need some for. And
Right.
Like I
Selling
got
them.
a shipment of stuff last week.
Yeah.
Gone in a day.
Yeah.
Packaged it all up and shipped it out.
Yeah. But if they commit, then you can hold something for them. And
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What else we got?
Brian Smith wants to know if you're having fun in Sturgis.
Oh, are you kidding? Well, I'm probably like sunburnt because I've been riding like crazy. And since we're back on that, I did want to reach out to Kelly Sims because Kevin said he's watching. So we have a challenge coin, and there was, I don't know, 10 of us today. We got to the bar, and guess who didn't have their coin? Me. So I had to buy for everybody. So yeah, they were in yesterday's pants. So oh well. But yes, we're having a great time. And this is only what, Wednesday? So we've got concerts tomorrow. We've got lots of crazy stuff we're still going to do and lots more riding. I'm 5,000 miles in on riding, so I've gotten plenty of seat time on this trip.
I'd get out early tomorrow, because we're going to be over 100 degrees tomorrow.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so getting an early start. And, you know, we're low right here, right? So as you go up in the mountains, like if you
It gets
ride,
better if you go up in the hills.
yeah,
It'll
it's
be-
way better.
It'll be
What,
quite a bit cooler.
10, 15
Probably 10
degrees?
degrees.
Yeah, so yeah, we're learning how to do that around here. So more questions. What else we got?
Yeah, 2010 JK. Another question for you.
Okay.
The Elite kit. Do you know of any modifications you would have to do to fit a Hemi?
You've done one of those before. Did you have to bump it out or
I know.
anything? Yeah.
The biggest thing is running exhaust with the front 3-link arm, because the Hemi wants to dump about right where you've got the mount
Link
for
mount.
the front link mount.
Yeah.
So you got to get creative with
Getting that
mandrel
around.
bends and get around that. And then the only other thing is if you're going to run your full aluminum skid plate while you've got the body off, heat insulate the whole bottom of the Jeep, every footwell, every passenger area.
Yeah.
Because if you put that full skid plate on,
It's a
your
lot of
mufflers
heat.
have to be underneath there.
Yep.
It'll get hot.
Yeah.
You can melt carpet if you.
Yeah. So couple of updates on that too. The insulation that he's talking about is a very thick stick on. So you got to clean the bottom of the body really good, get that put on. And I agree. I do that on everything we do. Then typically I'll either ceramic coat and heat wrap the entire exhaust also, keeping the heat in the flow of the exhaust. And then there's another company that just came out that wraps with that aluminum looking stuff the entire exhaust. It's like $1,500, but it's literally like 300 degrees. So you go from like 1,200 to 300. So there are a couple of options to really get that heat down if you want the flat belly skid. So, which if you're going through all the trouble, you probably do. So, but other than that, there was no considerations for it couldn't bump as deep or anything.
No.
Everything clears.
Not at all.
Okay, good. There you go. There you go. What else we got?
One more question that I see here. I'm assuming it's on a JK. You have a 6.4 and an 8-speed. If you want to add an oil cooler, what would be a good setup for that?
Engine oil cooler?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do it all the time here. If we do an install, every Jeep gets an engine oil cooler. So you should just email me. I'll give you all the part numbers.
Do you have
can
one
get
in
from
one of
Summit.
these two that we can show them? Is it like right in the front or?
You know,
Because there is something on this one. Is that power steering?
If we went next door, I
And
could
I-
really show you. But
And I saw something on that 6.4 over there. It's like right on the above the oil filter.
yeah,
Is that
but
a cooler?
that's a Challenger.
Oh, that's a
engine
different
oil cooler.
Gotcha.
What we put on works way better than
Better.
that.
Okay.
I can. How about if I let me grab one off the shelf? real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dan also has custom Griffin radiators made for his conversions, which are really nice. They're super heavy duty. They're kind of a military grade. And he said he hasn't had one come back. They're really, really nice. It's similar to like what we run in our Ultra 4 race cars. So this looks like a similar construction.
So if this is what we'd put on with a Hellcat engine oil cooler.
Look at that. Big.
Yeah, using
Dash 12.
Dash 12 stuff.
Yeah. So cross flow. So that's really good. That's what you want. Again, same
There-
kind of stuff we run on the race car.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just basically want to try to fit the biggest one on that you can get in there.
So is this going in front of the radiator?
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to get creative because
There's not much
depending
room
on-
left.
Depending on what you're doing here, like this is kind of a bad idea
That's,
for it.
that's
I mean,
a bad idea.
you want to get that winch all the way down in the bottom and
So spin
Because-
around so
because
so
here's
everybody
the-
can see what we're talking about. So this guy has blocked 50% of the airflow with lights and winch, right?
and then here's the engine oil cooler for
Right
this thing,
behind it.
which is so
Now, granted, the fan's going to pull through there, right? It's certainly at lower speeds, but at the high speeds, that's just flinging
Yeah.
off everywhere. So
and it works for some people because maybe it's just a show rig and they
Yeah.
take it around to events and or maybe they only slow speed trail ride all the time. But
yeah,
you know, if you want to run 85 mile an hour down the freeway and it's
And whatever
90
temperature.
some degrees,
Right.
getting the air in here and then also getting it out. So
Yep. That's what I did on my
louvered
jail.
hoods are
open that stuff up.
what you
bet.
want to do.
And this has got 42-inch tires and big axle, so this thing's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah, that's a nice looking cooler.
So that's nice. This one's made by Improved Racing.
All right, what else we got? Now we're looking over toward all the parts, which is really cool.
So yeah, back behind here is, since we sell Hemi conversion kits, every day. We have all of our Hemi conversion parts. It's like going to the grocery store.
Yeah, this is why he was saying when you email in, he can make the parts list and they can check their inventory and figure out how quick they can get you your order filled. So
And I think we've put Hemis in every Jeep you can think of.
combination, yeah.
Everything from CJs all the way up.
Yeah.
And every one of them can get a new style Hemi with an 8-speed if you want.
That's cool. That is really cool.
But all the older short wheelbase stuff, you do need something like you were talking about with making in an LJ, because this TJ works great because it's pretty low to the ground. If that thing was lifted another 3 inches, you're going to have driveline vibration.
Yeah.
So then you're going to be looking at either lowering the transmission. Right now that one's still sitting
Yeah,
on
it's
the
still got
factory
the
skid
factory.
plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you tried to put a flat skid on that one, you would
Change all that.
ticking up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you know that just reduces the life of that CD head.
Yep. Yeah, so the longer rear drive shaft solves those problems. So, what this guy looks like, he might do overlanding or hunting or something.
Yep.
So, doesn't have that much of a requirement like a rock crawler kind of guy would.
Yes, he's an Arizona guy, so.
There you go. Cool. What else we got?
A couple more questions. Any playing around with torque converters on the 8-speed, like different types?
No, you can't do any better than putting just the correct factory torque converter in.
And then
I've actually seen some major issues with places that will build torque converters But the thing is why would you put a stall converter in a 6,000-pound vehicle with 42-inch tires and 1-ton axles? You don't need that. Even with 1,100 horsepower like this one's got, the factory torque converter is the best choice.
Well, and you know, with the 8-speed transmission, that first gear is so low.
It is.
Right, so a lot of the time when people would play with stall is because they didn't have as low a first gear that they wanted or needed. So yeah, that's a great question and a good point that you're able to.
And it might be different for you, you know, running King of the Hammers, where you know your truck's got to last for how many hours?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
12 hours.
Somebody like this, you know, they want it to last for 60,000 miles.
Right.
So
Right.
you can you put a stall converter in, you're building more heat.
Yeah, you do. You build a lot more heat. One of the reasons we go with the higher stall is to somewhat cushion the driveline as you're going through the whoop-de-doos, you know, that banging.
Right.
But, you know, in something like this.
And you know, if someone's going to build a Jeep and they want to drag race it, well, that's a whole different
A
story.
whole different deal. Right, right. These are drivable on and off road.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, one like mine, no air conditioning. There's no windows, there's no top, there's no nothing. You go faster if you want air conditioning.
Right.
What else we got?
Could you put an 8-speed on a 99 TJ with a 5.9 Magnum?
Answer to that is yes, because it'll bolt up. Kyle, we checked that the other day, didn't we?
Yep, the
Right,
top
'cause
bolts.
We took the tranny out of my Durango and put a new tranny in it. And while we had that out, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
why didn't we put an 8-speed in here? But yeah,
I know
the bolt pattern.
You took me
works.
next door. You're putting 8-speeds in everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the way.
So yeah, the 8-speed kit has all of the necessary componentry to wire it into something older that doesn't have the CAN bus to make that still work. Where the JKs, you just have to hook up a brake switch and 2 CAN bus wires, and it does all that talking
Really?
by itself. But if you do something older, like what he's talking about there, I mean, you've got, you know, neutral safety, and there's 3 or 4 other wires that, you know, that need a manual type signal going to the controller in order for it to work right. But
That's not bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a few more wires to hook up.
Okay.
And does a full heat wrapping the exhaust make it quieter?
That's a good question. I haven't driven in one.
A little bit.
A little bit, I would imagine, because it would take the tinny sound away.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
You kind of like putting dynamite on the floor of your Jeep.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you have the
that's-
same type of sound
Yeah.
deadening.
Yeah, most of the time we use it because the packaging is so tight that you're going by all kinds of hoses and steering lines and battery wires, and we just don't want that. That heat's not good for anything, you know.
Right.
Like you're talking about, you get out here at 100 degrees and go ripping up the hill. Well, that stuff's glowing inside there, you know. So we're trying to get that heat to stay in the exhaust and go out. So. Yeah.
And before I ask this, Tim, what size tires do you have? And his question is, he has a 6.4 JK with 538s. If he goes 8-speed, will he need to re-gear?
No, because you're actually going to end up with a little more overdrive than what you currently have, and you'll notice that you're really going to be able to launch in first gear, but if that's too low, start in second gear.
Yeah.
You can manually put it in any gear you want to start off with.
Yeah, and it'll get out of that first gear pretty quick.
The 8-speed actually makes it a lot better on existing gear selections, because you have so many gears to deal with there that
Yeah.
you usually don't need to change it.
And that was a 40-inch tire?
He just said he has 40s.
Yeah, so 40 and a 538, that just takes it back to stock. So, you know, if it had 411s from the factory, you you know,
Yeah.
then it just brings it back to stock for the tire size. So where 538s for a 42 isn't quite enough, but you know, it's the best you can do.
So every Jeep I've had here in the past year that, you know, was already on 40s or 42s, and we took the stock motor and everything out. A lot of them had 538s, and we put the 8 speeds in. And I got asked the same question, you know, should I, you know, re-gear it to 456 or whatever? And I said, you need to try it first, because I drove it, and other than it being, you know, insanely fast and quick to get out of first gear into second, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and nobody's
Yeah, I'd leave it.
changed.
I'd leave it for sure. Yeah. Good question though. Yep.
A couple more questions came in.
Sure.
Any chance, or have you messed around with sport mode for the 8-speed to adjust shift points on the fly?
No.
You're better off to just go to manual and mess with it yourself. Yeah.
Well, I will say it does kind of adjust itself depending on the throttle position. So if you're taking it easy, it's going to drive nice and easy. But as soon as you put the hammer down,
Yeah.
it will keep itself kind of in a sport mode for a while.
Yeah, I noticed that. There a lot of the newer vehicles do this. You know, if you're just easy on the gas, it seems to be, you know, kind of mild or whatever, depending on the motor. But if you happen to quickly move the pedal, it does seem to like wake up and get moving. Is that just inherent in the 8-speed controller?
Probably a lot to do with line pressure.
Oh, okay.
So more RPM, more line pressure, so it holds. And
Okay. But yeah, I
but,
guess
but the electronics are, you know, a million times a second configuring, you know,
Yeah.
just how to hold it in gear, and
a lot faster than it used to be.
right,
Yeah.
lots faster.
Okay. What else we got? How are we doing on time? What time is it?
So it's close to 7.
Oh, is it? So
6:54.
okay, so we got maybe 5 more minutes, so keep those questions coming in. We'll get the last few in here. Lots of cool stuff. That's for sure. While he's looking for questions, what is in this one?
Well, this one started out as a 700 horse Hellcat, but it's got a stroker kit in it. So now it's a 426, 7 liter. And it's got
I didn't know you could do that.
and it's got I've got those. I sell so many of those. I got them on the shelf on the top rack over there.
Nice.
And then also the upper and lower pulleys have been changed, so it's got about 16 pounds of boost.
Oh wow,
So
that's a lot.
it's crazy.
That's a lot. So this is putting out what?
This is what I call a super cat.
Yeah.
It's 1,100 horse.
Oh my goodness.
We've done a fair number of those. Wow. And it's really neat because it gets forged pistons in the motor too. So if you're ever going to have a problem with a stock Hellcat motor, it's going to be because they still have cast pistons.
They do?
And they're better cast pistons than like what a 6.4 would come with. But if you're not watching your octane, a lot of guys, you know, might park their Jeep for a couple of months and then jump in it and boom,
Yeah, right.
we're out raging on
Yeah.
it. And that premium fuel's not premium anymore. And a lot of people can't hear detonation
Yeah.
because the exhaust is too loud or the supercharger whine. Putting forged pistons in a Hellcat motor is a really good idea. That can save you.
Yeah. Well, when it's boosted, you got a lot going on in there. Yeah. Interesting. All right, what else we got?
Got someone asking any luck on the blue JL with the big Hellcat. Like, how's that going?
You mean this one?
That's what we're standing in front of. Oh, man.
if they're talking about the one I'm thinking about, tomorrow we're gonna know a lot more about that one.
And then, how many weeks should a Hemi swap and a JK with Elite suspension take? Or what's the time frame?
I can tell you, I can put the motor in a heck of a lot faster than installing an Elite suspension. Because it's about it's about 50 hours to put the motor in.
Oh, okay. So
I know I'll spend. I mean, you take the body off and cut everything up. And,
I know that's 40 hours worth of work.
Right.
Right. So yeah, typically I think it's like 80 hours to cut off the old stuff, put the new stuff back on. But it's like 50 to do the conversion.
So if you had all the parts sitting there ready to go, about a month.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
Because if you're putting the Elite suspension in and you're going to do that right, the body's off, everything's coming off.
And it'll make it a lot easier to do everything.
You want to weld it all on that way, then you can paint it all nice. And
Yep.
They're so much fun to do.
It's a
They
big
make it
project.
Fun.
It's a project.
Because when you're done, there's nothing else like it.
Yep. What else we got?
Looks like if someone's looking for a JK, would manual JK to the 8-speed be the sweet spot? That's the question.
Good way to go. The only thing that you have to do differently at that point is put a different brake pedal in, a part they call a shifter sled. And then you'll have a hole in the firewall you need to cover up with a little metal plate where the clutch master's at.
But you could probably pick one of those up cheaper, maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
I just bought one today, a 2015. Going to do another 8-speed conversion, and it's a manual transmission.
That's a great question, because that's the kind of thing that if somebody doesn't already have one, if they know what to go get and kind of help their build along.
Well, and the thing is the manual trans JK. I mean, they're way cheaper than an automatic because most people want an automatic. They
Right.
don't want the manual trans.
Right. So when they go to sell that thing, yeah, can have fewer buyers.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever tried to sell a manual trans JK, but even with the Hemi in it,
I didn't even know they made them.
It's tough. It's tough.
Oh man. What else you got?
Baja Boss MT or Goodyear Wrangler MTR?
Well, the Baja Boss MT is a newer generation tire, so it's got some better technology in it than the Goodyear. And I don't know if you know this, but Goodyear bought Mickey Thompson, so now they're the parent company. And I think the plan, from what I understand, is to let Goodyear continue on passenger car tires and let these newer companies like Mickey Thompson be the ones that make their performance off-road tires. So for a long time, Goodyear talked about having a newer generation MTR, but I think this was what happened instead. So from what I know, and I do have a little inside knowledge.
That tire is a couple decades old now.
Yeah,
isn't it?
now, yeah.
See, I always, it's how tough is the sidewall?
Yeah, so it depends on the kind of driver you are. If you're the kind of guy that likes to leave the windows up and drive by what I call braille and like bounce off everything, then you need a super tough tire. You need a Nitto, you need a Toyo, you need something with a sidewall. But the downside is that's a heavy damn tire. They're not going to flex good. Like there's other things that go with that, right? So you've got to figure out, what kind of a driver you are. It's not that hard to look out the window and see what you're hitting, or if you can get by something. A lot of the guys on the East Coast, they like the old IROCs and some of those kind of tires because they're super thick as well. And
I was just going to say that's what I run on mine, or bias ply IROC,
Yeah.
so that probably tells you what kind of driver you're doing.
Well, in those muddy situations, where you're slipping on rocks and roots and stuff and just kind of banging around like a pinball.
I've never torn a sidewall on an IROC.
Not one of those, no way.
Even at 6 pounds.
They're tough, yeah. And some of those, I know people even take out the valve stems because they're so stiff.
Right.
They can't get them to even move. So, but it's a heavy tire, right? So you just gotta kind of figure out. What I can tell you is this: when I pre-ran in my Jeep for King of the Hammers, I purposely got off course in sections that I knew I might have to get out of somebody's way and just get into the nasty volcanic, stuff. And I could not flat tire. So, I brought those tires back. I took them off, put brand new ones on for racing, and went out with all the confidence of knowing I'm not going to get a flat. So
Which tire was that?
that's the Baja Boss MT. So I've definitely put those through the paces at 6 pounds, sliding around corners, purposely getting out of the nasty stuff, where it's rolling under and just
That kind of sounds like the tire I would use then.
yeah.
I think that's the answer to your question.
There you go. So, yep. More questions, or are we?
Just several people asking if the Super Cat is something we're going to be able to hear today.
Oh, I don't see an air filter on there.
Yeah, what do we need an air filter for?
Yeah. Oh.
So I haven't done the finished tuning on this one yet because
Nice. I see some big long tube headers in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's designed to go, that's for sure.
Wow. It sounds good. It's got a big cam or something in there.
Like I said, and we've got the 1100 horse motors in stock also.
That's awesome.
And we can mate those up to the 8 HP 95 TRX truck transmission, which you have to.
Yeah. To hold.
Because then there's no worries about the tranny at all.
That's cool. Very cool. All right, so we're kind of at the end. Is there anything you want to wrap up with, everybody?
Well, like I said, I know there's lots of people that are wondering about their own particular vehicle. Email me, Dan at Dakota-Customs.com. I'm on the phone so much during the day, and I'm the only one that answers the phone. So if you've called and I didn't answer, it's because I'm on the phone. But emails, a lot of times I'll be on the phone. I get an email on my other phone. I can do both.
Do both, yeah.
But,
Yep.
And that's how you get a better, clearer answer, and you got it in writing.
Yep.
And if you need some pricing, then I've got all the PDFs.
And there's no misunderstandings. They thought they
Right.
heard this or whatever, right?
And yeah, everybody's Jeep's going to be a little bit different depending on what they got for a motor, what year it is.
In some cases, do they have to supply you the VIN number, or how
I
detailed does
only
it
need
get?
that if you're buying a kit.
Okay.
So what I really need to know is, am I staying with a 3.6? Do I already have a Hemi?
Right.
What year JK is it, or whatever? Because obviously you've seen we have more than Jeep Wranglers that we're
Doing stuff with,
Putting stuff
and
in,
obviously some of the questions that came in, people already have. Well, I put this in a long time ago. Now I want to update it. Right. That's a completely different kind of kit question, right?
And if you, even if you just got questions about something you're thinking about doing, even if it's something I don't sell, I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah. Maybe you can point them in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If I don't do it, I usually know who does.
Somebody does. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, hopefully that was a good walk around and gave you a good idea of what they do here. I know every time I come here, I'm impressed with what you guys are having to offer. And
Sure, good to see you again.
you're staying up with everything, which is awesome. So,
Yeah.
all
Great.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Wednesday.